Italian Football Podcast.
Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of the Italian Football Podcast, the official podcast of Football Italia. I'm Carlo Garganese, joined as always by Nima and On today's show, we will review the weekend Serie A action. Luciano Spalletti has a dream debut for Juventus as they win 2-1 at Cremonese. At the top, Inter moves to just 1 point behind Napoli with a 94th minute own goal winner against Hellas Verona. Milan are also 1 point behind as they win the big game of the weekend, 1-0 against Roma in a very eventful game. So Roma now fall off the top. Napoli have Vanja Milinkovic-Savic to thank for avoiding defeat as he makes yet another penalty save, albeit in a goalless draw against a very impressive Como team. Stefano Pioli will surely now be sacked after Fiorentina lost again at home to Lecce. And Ivan Juric is also under severe pressure at Atalanta after the 1-0 defeat to Udinese puts them into the bottom half of the table. And we'll also have our usual Baggio, Premface and Serie ASS of the week. If you want to support the Italian Football Podcast and receive all of our content that we do throughout the week without any ads, including our free Monday review show, our weekly Q&A episode where we answer all the questions from our patrons, plus a Thursday midweek review show, plus interviews, post-match reaction, and much, much more, then go to patreon.com/TIFP and become a subscriber for just $3.99 a month. You can watch our free episodes and shorter clips on YouTube, and you can become a patron on YouTube memberships as well. Go to our YouTube channel on youtube.com/@itafootpod for more details. You can also sign up to be a paid subscriber on Spotify. So whichever platform you consume us on, Spotify, Apple, iTunes, YouTube, would really appreciate if you give us a follow, give us a subscribe to us, like us, give us a 5-star rating. Do all of that because it really helps us to grow. And if you've not already, do follow us on our social media platforms, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and Twitter. So, do you want to buy tickets for a Serie A match but don't know how? Well, Live Football Tickets is the best place to find Serie A tickets. Tickets are often available for as little as £25, sometimes even less. And buying from livefootballtickets.com is totally secure, and they even offer 150% refund guarantee on ticket authenticity. So if you want to watch Juventus or Inter or Milan or Napoli, or if you want to join Nima at a Pisa versus Lecce relegation dogfight, then Live Football Tickets is for you. To buy tickets to any Serie A match, simply follow the link in the description of this episode. No HTTPS before you type it in, by the way. Right, let's get into today's show. So we'll start off with the big game of the weekend on Sunday evening, Milan against Roma. Milan win 1-0, massive win for Milan, if we can talk about it from their viewpoint first. A deserved win, created lots and lots of chances. Strange kind of game. They're only 1 point now behind, and they would be top if it wasn't for those stupid points that they dropped at home to Cremonese and Pisa, which is pretty crazy when you see how they've done so far this season. But it was a strange game in many ways because the first 38 minutes until Milan took the lead, Roma were completely dominant. Roma should have been ahead. And Milan were really struggling. They were getting pressed high up the pitch. They were giving the ball away. They couldn't get out. Tactically, Roma really had their number. And then they scored on a counter attack from Pavlovic. Leao with a great bit of play, and then they just had chance after chance after chance after chance. Fofana missed 2 massive chances. Leao missed 2 huge chances, and Kunku hit the post. Villa made a great save. But despite all that, they could have actually ended up drawing the game because Paulo Dybala had a penalty within the last 10 minutes, which Mike Manuel made an amazing save. So it's a kind of a strange game to analyse, Nima.
Yeah, I suppose you can say it's a strange game. I mean, the game is kind of, for me, the strangest stat from this game is just Milan have a 37% possession and they have an XG of over 3. I mean, this is like Allegri's wet dream, 37% possession and create 6 big chances, have 17 shots, an XG over 3, win by 1 goal, and keep a clean sheet. I mean, this is Allegri Nirvana. Like, this is Allegri's becoming one with the universe. This is what he wants. But jokes aside, I think if you look at it, I mean, Milan have now played Napoli, Roma, Fiorentina, and Juve. And why am I not on the screen? Oh, there we go. Because you're fiddling with it.
You disappeared from the screen and now you're back.
No, because you fiddled with it.
I was trying to make the screen bigger for both of us, but I actually made it so that only I'm on the screen. There you go. There's another thing. Carlo doesn't understand modern technology. That's your one for this week.
I forgot where I was.
No, HTTPS last week. This week, I don't know how to expand the screen without making it only me.
Bloody hell. Yeah, what I was going to say is, I mean, look, if we zoom out, I want to talk about
talking of dinosaurs, Allegri.
Yeah,
right.
But this is dinosaur heaven. I mean, he's, the way that he, if we just look at this game a little bit and then talk about broadly what this means for Milan, a couple of things I really like. I like the fact that Samuel Ricci and Modric worked well together. I thought Ricci was really good. I thought it was a good test. And this is really important for Milan because I thought Ricci was very, very good. Modric is always good. We know that. Fofana did not have a good game, not because of just the missed chances, but the stupid penalty he gave away when his arm is, I mean, who jumps out like that? You're not, children jump out like that.
And he gave away the free kick for the.
Yeah, exactly. He did not have a good game. So we should be honest about that. I thought De Winter was all right. Gabbia was good. Pavlovic was good in a back three, which is something that I remember talking about last season, that I think he can actually do well in a back three. So I'm happy to see that prediction went well. But overall, the way that Milan want to play now is very clear. It's all kind of coming together. And as I said, they have played Fiorentina, they've played Napoli, they've played Juve, now they've played Roma, and they've pretty much won all of those. So in the first 10 games, they've played 4 difficult sides. They've done well against them. They've struggled against the smaller teams, you could say. I mean, Pisa and Cremonese. But the scontri diretti, the direct encounters against the rivals, they're doing really, really well. And that's why they find themselves where they are, which is a very interesting point to make. And of course, Rafael Leao. These moments of magic that he has for the first goal. When he drives, when he gets the ball like that and drives, it's majestic. It's so beautiful to watch. And he literally puts the fear of God in you when as a defender when he does that.
I was thinking about this. Is Rafael Leao the best counter-attacker in Europe right now? When you're counter-attacking, when you've got the ball, when you're going from coast to coast and there's that space in front of you, we know his limitations, and that will stop him ever becoming maybe one of the very, very best in the world, probably. But when their space is open, and you're on the counter attack, he's just unstoppable. I mean, even Ndika, the way that he roasts him, Ndika's an outstanding defender.
Yeah,
he's one of, if not, some would maybe argue the start of this season, maybe the best. Roma had the best defensive record this season. I think they maybe still do. And the way that he destroys him, and Ndika is lightning fast. Let me tell you.
Yeah, he is. He's
quick. Does not get done for base, and he blitzed him and then cuts it back. I mean, he's absolutely devastating. I mean, I think he's up there. I think that maybe the contenders are. I mean, there's Kylian Mbappe, there's Vini Jr., there's Dembele, of course, from PSG. Those 3 are absolutely outstanding, and some would say maybe a little bit more complete in some ways than Leao. But if we're talking about, you've got open space in front of you, I think he's. I don't think there's anybody more devastating than
it's
Leao.
just He does, and the way when he gets the ball, you know that something's going to happen when he's got space to attack, because it's not just the pace. The thing that he does is he has technique as well. He's incredibly technically gifted. It's the combination of the pace and the technique that I think is just an absolute joy to watch. And you know he's going to drop that shoulder and do you, but you still can't stop him. It's a little bit like Arjen Robben when you knew he was going to cut in, but still you couldn't stop him. It's so impressive to watch.
But then he lets himself down as well with the missed chance. You know,
the finishing is his problem. He's not a good finisher, unfortunately. I think if Allegri's able to improve his finishing, that should be something that you can train on, can't you? It's not like technique. Technique you can maybe better somewhat, but finishing is something actually you can just do through stupid training. Just put yourself in those positions, learn to position your body correctly, mentally be cool and place it instead of, getting stressed and just powering it. But
I do think that him and Nkunku, they started slowly. Nkunku started slowly. That was because Roma was so dominant. They weren't getting enough balls, especially Nkunku. He's somebody that likes to have a lot of touches. He's very good technically, and he's not a back-to-goal player either. And it was difficult for him. But once Milan got going, once they got the goal, and then they started creating chance after chance, I actually think the two of them did pretty well together. And Nkunku actually did all right, I think, in the end. He had a couple of, he hit the post, but he had another, at least one other. I remember Sia making a really great save, and I thought in the end it was quite positive. And I think I'd like to see those two together again going forward. I think there's something to build on there with them two.
I agree. I think they complement each other really well, and it's an interesting one because they're kind of both a bit injury prone as well, aren't they? So we'll see. But no, I think if Milan are to win this Scudetto, this is the blueprint of how Milan must play in order to win the Scudetto or finish in the top or challenge for the Scudetto at the very least. And that is the midfield of Ricci and Modric have to click like they did in this game. Leao, they have to use Leao on the counter attack, and he has to be this devastating as he's been. Got an assist for the goal. Pavlovic, the run forward was very interesting. I like that he did that. It's a very interesting, just a little note to put in there, the way that he follows forward. And I think Milan's defense as well is something that we should acknowledge, because another clean sheet, and they have had. There's been criticism leveled against them that they, despite the good stats that they have, they're not too. There are problems there defensively, but because structurally they're sound, but maybe the quality isn't as good on an individual level. And I think there's some merit to that. But this was the blueprint. If Milan are to challenge for the Scudetto, this is how they're going to have to play. It was very impressive. And again, if you have 37% ball possession and you create 6 chances and an XG without a penalty of over 3, you talk about whether things can continue, and if they're what's the word I'm looking for here, sustainable. This is sustainable. This football is sustainable. This is a football that sooner or later the goals will come if they continue playing like this. And soon they'll win 2-3-0 if they continue this chance creation and if they continue to be in this.
Well, no, that's what I've been saying all season. Generally, I've been saying that if you look at the basic, simple stats of how many chances did you create, and how many chances did you concede, and what is your XG for, and what is your XG against, that this season generally Milan have been creating a lot more than they've been conceding in terms of chances. Then you can break down the game and the possession and you have some strange games like the first 38 minutes of this game. Roma were completely dominant, didn't actually create that many clear cut chances. And Dika had a good chance. Dybala would have had a big chance if he didn't slightly miscontrol it, and then he had to hit it with the outside of his boot. But generally, despite that 38 minutes of dominance, they didn't actually create that much clear cut. Whereas Milan had 10 minutes of dominance after the goal and created 4 sitters. So in that sense, things have been going really, really well for Milan. Probably the Atalanta game was the one game where I thought that they they were not outplayed, but
now they were much better.
Atalanta created a lot more. Atalanta created a lot more than them, and the Napoli game. But obviously, the Napoli game was conditioned by that red card. But yeah, no, things are going well, and I also like the celebrations at the end of the game. And this is something that we can see the togetherness. Every single game that Milan are winning, they're celebrating it like they've won the Scudetto.
No, they're a unit. They're a tight-knit group, and they really, really like each other, and they really get on well, and they're all united. And I think Allegri's created a very, very good environment. No, I think Milan are in a good place, regardless of how this.
Well, let's talk about Roma. I mean, Roma, as I said, the first 38 minutes of this game, I thought, from a tactical point of view, from a Gasperini blueprint type of sense, this is the best that we've seen, or the most Gasperini that we've seen of Roma this season. I thought they were absolutely outstanding in those first 38 minutes, and something that Gasperini actually was trying to latch onto as the positive. He says, I want to go from this game and look at the positives. And in that first before the Pavlovic goal, I thought Roma were putting on almost a clinic. Like the press was working fantastically. They were winning the ball back. Milan couldn't get out. They were forcing Milan into mistakes. They were dominating possession. I mean, we're already starting to see that from Roma this season. I think they're the second highest in Serie A for possession this season. Good intensity. They missed a number of chances. They should have been ahead. There's no doubt about that. They should have been at least a goal ahead in that before the goal. I mean, Allegri admitted that himself at the end of the game. And I thought the tactics were spot on, especially Cristante was all over Modric in that first before the goal. He was almost man marking him. It was almost old school Lothar Matthäus on Diego Maradona in 1986 World Cup final. It was everywhere. Every time Modric got the ball, Cristante was all over him, and Cristante was really exceptional in doing that job. Then, of course, they conceded the goal, and they kind of just fell apart, and that's what kind of made this game really strange, because there was a Roma before the goal and a Roma afterwards, and afterwards they were just poor. So yeah, I mean, it depends how you want to look at it. If you want to I try and look at it positively. I try to look at it as, you know what, we're seeing this Roma. We see that the print of Gasperini there. Obviously, he doesn't have the players to be able to really fulfill what he's trying to do. And the biggest issue that Roma have is they just don't have a number 9. It's a big, big problem. They would have been 1 or 2 up with a number 9. They've got no cutting edge at all. They've got no depth. Dybala's got injured now, so they're gonna have to play a number 9 now. But Dybala is the false 9. He did some nice things, great on the ball. Obviously missed the penalty, but it's hard. Roma are not going to score many goals without a striker. Without.
There's lots of bark. Striker. There's lots of bark, but no bite. I think we can summarize it with Roma's attack, at least. And they are looking very good, and it's an interesting one, because I was thinking, if they had won that game, they would have been top of the league, and it's that's crazy, really, if we think about it. But now, despite this loss, they are just 1 point behind Napoli. They are tied with Inter and Milan on 21 points. It's crazy. They have had a fantastic start to the season. There's no doubt about that. They have the exact same mirror image of Inter: 7 wins, 3 draws. It's a fantastic start for Roma. I don't think anyone really.
The teams they've played as well, Nima. Like they've played some of the bigger teams as well.
Yeah, and they have. And just like with Milan, they've played some big teams. They've played Milan. They've played Inter. They've played Fiorentina, so they've had the derby, which is a big game for them. So no, they're off to a fantastic start. They really are, and it's an interesting to see where they go, where this Roma side goes, in the sense that, does Gasperini focus on the Serie A and try to get that top 4 spot? Because it's a hornet's nest, isn't it? I mean, you got Bologna and Juventus on 18 points, 3 points behind them, just behind. So it's a hornet's nest.
I think the positive here is that the question marks there was always going to be Gasperini after 9 years at Atalanta. Could he transfer his style of play to another team, but especially to a team like Roma, especially given the players that I think many are really not suitable to his style of play. Yet you can see that he has transferred it, a lot of that over already.
Yes.
Like the fact that they're dominating so much possession, the fact that, like I said, before the goal in this game, their pressing was working so well, and the way that they were winning it high up the pitch, and the way that they're keeping the ball, and some of the moves that they were putting together in that early stages was fantastic. So I think that's really positive. Just now we just have to wait. This season will come too early, but what this means is that if they get their mercato right, January or more so from next summer, and then they bring in the players that are needed. They bring in a top number 9, which they need. There's no doubt about that. Dobbik is not a Gasperini player. Ferguson started well, but he hasn't scored, and he's very injury prone. He's young. They get in a proper number 9. They get in another, sort of attacking midfielder / outside kind of Lookman, Ilicic, De Ketelaere kind of player, which they need. They need one of those as well. And then they bring in stronger players. You can see that it will transfer. It will. His style of play will transfer. I think Roma fans should be positive. They're going to need to be patient because they don't have the players to be successful. Yeah, but I think they do. Yeah, I think I
agree with that. And if I am Roma, I'm looking. Well, if you can't sell Dovbyk and you need to, okay, we'll play him, but then you need Lookman. Go and try to get Lookman in January and somehow. I know Gasperini and him don't have the best relationship, but I think it might be a little bit different. They don't have the best, but it's still like Lookman in this Roma, just tactically speaking, I think would be devastating. I think they would score so many more goals. More than a number 9. I think Dovbyk could then actually be very serviceable. If you have a Sule and Lookman behind a Dovbyk that would be very.
I mean, anyone would be better with those two behind, but I just don't think. I don't think Dovbyk is the right.
No, he's not.
Type.
But I mean,
he's not the right type of striker. But
but they are really good. And I have to just say that Dybala missing a penalty for the first time, I think it's 2023.
4 years.
2021, sorry, against Salernitana last time.
18 penalties in a row.
Yeah, 19 attempts, and he misses it. But we have to. More than a miss, I think that's a Mignon save, to be honest. I thought it was an excellent save.
It was a good save, but I think that, it wasn't enough in the corner, and it was a good height. It was good height.
That's a good height for the goalkeeper. Yeah, that's
good height for the goalkeeper. Yeah,
no, it was very good.
Yeah, unlike Dybala, you'd back him. Like, if you could pick one player to take a penalty in football,
Çalhanoğlu. I'd go with
Çalhanoğlu, Harry Kane for me. Those two. Those two just they hit them hard, they bury them. Yeah.
Brexit penalties. Top corner, son. Top corner. None of this hop skippity woke nonsense.
No. Yeah. No. Right. Let's move to Inter then, because this is a massive win for Inter in the Scudetto race. Not only because they're now only a point behind, but to win in injury time, the pouring rain, an ugly game.
Win ugly.
Yeah, not a great performance from Inter at all. But these are the kind of wins that win you the Scudetto.
If Inter are to do that, yes, these are the ugly wins is what you need. And this was a very ugly win. The Inter played football for the opening 15 minutes, and then I don't know what they did. They didn't play football. And it was a very heavy pitch. Rain-heavy pitch. Players didn't enjoy themselves. They looked, this Luis Enrique was awful. Lots of players were awful, but he was, he becomes a talking point. People, Kiva got annoyed, but I'm sorry, he has no right to get annoyed with people asking him about Diouf and Luis Enrique, who cost 50 million euros in the summer. Diouf is not being played because he's not ready. And Kiva himself said he's not ready, which is an astonishing thing to admit. You paid that much money for him and he's not ready after 10 games in the Serie A and 3 games in the Champions League. Well, so basically you're admitting that you wasted 25 million. Luis Enrique, we need more patience with. I accept that. But it is a talking point, and he and Inter need to accept that is a talking point, because you spent 40 million in the summer. and we haven't seen anything from Diouf, and what we've seen from Luis Enrique hasn't been good enough. So that's obviously going to be a talking point. As equally as Esposito and Boni have been good, and Sucic have been good, we who have been signings that have worked. We also have to talk about the signings that haven't worked. It's as simple as that. But the way that they win, the way that they managed to win lucky, and it was a lucky goal. I mean, that was just that's one of those, if you play Monopoly, get out of jail free cards. I mean, it's
a lucky goal. It's also horrendous defending. He turns his back. He's not looking at the ball. He turns his back on it. It's awful. But yes, from Inter's point of view, it's lucky. Yeah.
That's lucky. They played one of their get out free jail cards. As someone would say, some Inter fans online I saw say they won like Conte did last season at Napoli. And that's, if you're going to win the league, you need those things. As much as we talk about tactics and preparation and mentality and all that, you also need to have a bit of luck. And they had that in this game against Hellas. And they were great in the first opening 15 minutes. They created 2-3 chances that, Zielinski had a good opportunity, good save. Lautaro's lob, great defending. And then, if not the goal of the season, it was like Zielinski for, Çalhanoğlu's corner and Zielinski's finish was just wow.
Amazing, yeah.
Absolutely stunning.
Like
it reminds me also, didn't Robben do
goal.
something in 2010? Robben did something similar against Manchester United in the was it in the semis?
It was. I remember the game very well. It was to knock Manchester United out of the Champions League.
Yeah.
Because I remember after the game, Alex Ferguson was livid about him
because of the red card.
He goes, typical Germans. That's what he said. That's what he said after the game. Yeah. It was. I mean, this was a unique one because this one Zielinski kind of side-footed it. He was like a controlled volley. He didn't smash it, which just shows that sometimes it's not how hard you hit it; it's the connection and the execution and the technique on it. It was outstanding. It was. Robben, Beckham's goals. I always go back to Beckham's goals for Man United as well. For those.
I remember we think quite a few of those. It was very cool. It was a lovely finish, and it was a world-class finish. The entire move, Çalhanoğlu's corner was perfect. The way that he hit the ball was also perfect.
There's only so many times I can sit here on this pod and say Inter at corners are just it's like having a penalty. Honestly, they are that good at corners, and it's not even when they just cross it into the box. Now they're doing these routines to the edge of the box as well. It's frightening, and it's not just it's not just Inzaghi. They're doing it under Kivu as well now. It's like it's just terrifying. And
it was apparently Palombo. It was apparently that move that was something that Palombo had come up with, and Kivu was dead against it. He was like, if we miss the ball, we're going to concede a goal on the counter. So please don't do it. But no, it was wonderful. It was absolutely wonderful. It is a goal of the season contender. It's absolutely brilliant goal. But look,
it's looking great for Inter. I mean, they're like I said, 1 point behind, and they're on an amazing run. 9 wins in 10 since that Juventus game. They're flying. And Kivu, although I wasn't sure about his rotation this game. I feel like he could have rotated more in the game that's coming up in Champions League. That's how I would have done it. So maybe Kivu got a little bit lucky in this game from that
sense.
Did. But other than that,
he did, but as Mourinho said, I'd rather be a bad coach and lucky and win than be a good coach, get everything right and lose.
Yeah,
and he is.
I would have played the full strength team in this, got the win, and then rested everyone against Borat FC on Wednesday. FC. But he got one, and we have to praise him. I mean, 9 wins in 10.
Yeah, no, it's
again the other thing with Inter. You've got to look at the numbers. If we're going to say that for Milan and Allegri, look at the numbers, look at the chance creation, look at the XG, look at how many goals, look at the hard numbers for Inter, how many goals they're scoring as well, which is miles ahead of anybody else in Serie A.
But equally, you have to look at the goals conceded. They concede too many. They concede far too much. We're going to get to Bisek, but the Bisek centre-back thing, I mean, this is something that all Inter Twitter have been talking about, myself included, for 2-3 years. Play him as a centre back, try him there. And it went well last game. This game, it did not go well. And they moved him to the right and they played Akanji in the middle, with then Inter got control of the situation. And both Bisek was good. Both of them were good, Akanji and Bisek. And I think that could be a solution. I think Akanji in the middle, I'd rather see that than Jan Bisek right now. I'm not saying they shouldn't try it in the future. But right now, I think the safety you get from Akanji in the middle is worth more.
That brings us on to the foul on Giovanni, because I think that underlines your point. It's not a red card, first of all. He's the last man, but the ball's kicked away towards the touchline. But he's lucky, because if Giovanni controls that ball correctly and puts it in front of
then
him,
it's a straight red
card. It's a
dog
red card.
But it's not a dog. Yeah.
No, it's not a dog. The only reason why he avoids a red card
is the ball going to the touchline.
Ball goes to the touchline.
Yeah.
So he's lucky.
And that's something that every referee has said. Our own patron, Alessandro Albizzani, who lives in Australia, is from Italy. He trains referees in the Australasia zone. He immediately said, no, it can't be a red card, because the ball is, you have to look at the trajectory of the ball is going to the touch. And then Marelli said it, Calvarese said it, everyone else has said it. So it's not, but he's lucky. And Sucic plays a horrible ball to him. We have to say that. Sucic struggled in this game. He's a fantastic player, but again,
he shouldn't be committing himself like that. It's reckless.
It is reckless, but it's like, but
it's a hospital pass. Yeah, it's a hospital ball. Yes, but it's.
But the thing about, just a point on Sucic, he is a fantastic player, and we saw a magical goal midweek against Fiorentina from him. But he's only 21. We have to remember that, and he will make these mistakes, and I think he should be allowed to make these mistakes, because otherwise he won't learn from them. And I do think that he's worth taking a risk on, because I think that the talent that he has, the risks, the positive outweighs the negatives in playing him, giving him more time. Because his talent is ridiculous. He is a jewel. He is a diamond in the rough. And I'm glad that Inter are playing him as much as they are this first season.
Yeah. The other thing I wanted to talk about is Pio Esposito. Now, obviously, a lot's been said about the penalty last week that's not given, especially from you, on the post-match pod. And this isn't necessarily related to that, although I think it can be related to that. Now, everybody knows I love Pio Esposito. I really have high hopes for him that he can become Italy's next great striker. And I love his mentality. I love the fact that he seems completely unfazed. I think he has a winning mentality. I think he's brilliant with his back to goal. I think he's fantastic at winning free kicks, buying free kicks, which is important. So what I'm going to say is, I'm not saying that he shouldn't carry on doing that, because that all the best players, best strikers do that with their back to goal of his type. Harry Kane does it. Drogba used to do it. I'm not saying don't buy free kicks here. Okay. What I'm saying is he is overdoing it. He's gaining a reputation now as a diver, because he's getting the slightest touch, or in many cases, no touch at all. And he's flinging himself to the ground, and he's gaining a reputation, because everybody's starting to talk about it. He's gaining a reputation as
I've
a
not
diver.
seen anyone say it. I don't know what you're talking about.
Who's
Who's saying it other than you and a certain other person who I don't want to out? But who else is saying it? I mean, I've not seen Tutto Sport say it. I've not read it in Corriere. I've not read it in Gazzetta. I don't know who else is saying this.
Well, lots of people. If you go online, see comments.
Yeah, Juventus
fans,
Twitter. Juventus Twitter. Say, I haven't seen anyone else say it. Like, I think it's hilarious to me. If we look at that situation in this game, there is contact, and he over-exaggerates the contact.
No, I'm not even talking about the penalty incident. I'm talking about free kicks that he's buying as well. I'm not talking about I counted 2 in this game where he barely got touched and he throws himself to the ground, and it's too much. And by the way, without bringing Juventus Twitter into it, it's got nothing to do with Juventus. I know 2 other journalists that I've been speaking to, top Italian football journalists, and I won't name them because I don't want to. I can tell you after. I don't know one of them who you are very fond of. I'm not going to name them on here because it's unfair to them. But anyway, forget what anybody else is saying. Just view with your own eyes if you want to. If you don't think he's a diver,
I think he does what every other
For me, he's a massive diver at the moment. I'm going to be honest. He's diving massively. And as somebody that's very fond of him and wants him to have a great career, he needs to be careful about it.
If he's a diver, what does that make the collected works of Filippo Inzaghi, Angelo Di Livio, and Alessandro Del Piero?
That's fine.
I mean, the thing is, he's not a diver. What he is a striker like any other. I mean, did you watch any other Serie A game? Pobega won a free kick for the exact same situation, which the referee fell for in the Derby Dell'Emilia. We see this time and time again.
We can talk about one-offs.
I think it's ridiculous to start creating a narrative. I think it's ridiculous to start creating a narrative, an agenda about Pio Esposito. And it's very interesting that this comes, the timing of it. It's a crazy coinky dink that it comes 4 days after one of the most egregious, horrific VAR decisions
part of the point
that we have ever seen. And then all of a sudden, this narrative presents itself.
No. That's actually part of the point, is that those decisions that was a clear penalty, but those decisions will go against him, not just
even though we have video evidence and it's not supposed to go against him.
No, it shouldn't do. No, you're right, but it shouldn't do.
You're right. Video evidence.
I'm talking about free kicks as well. He's going to stop getting important free kicks on the edge of the area because referees will see him as a diver. At the moment, he's diving way too much. He's just got. All I'm saying is, don't stop buying free kicks. It's important. He takes pressure off his team. That's crucial in games. I'm not saying stop doing it. I'm saying be smart. Be a little bit smart. Don't overdo it. And don't do it when there's literally not a single touch at all, because you will get yourself a reputation.
But there was a touch. That's exactly it. That's precisely the point.
I'm not just talking about that. There was two free kicks earlier in the game where there was no touch at all, and he flung himself to the ground. And so he's got to be. That doesn't have to be a big deal. He's young. He's going to make mistakes, and I'm sure he will reframe that. And I'm sure Kivu and others will talk to him about this as well. I'm sure they will. But I find
it a bit ridiculous to start talking about him being a diver after a game where he didn't dive. There is contact. He overdoes the contact ridiculously, and it's not a penalty. But to call it a dive, I mean,
I'm not talking about one incident. I'm talking about.
No, I'm talking about the game itself. I don't think he dived.
I'm talking about over the course of this season.
And I'm talking about the course of the season as well. He's not diving. There is contact. He overdoes it, as does every other football player in Serie A. So to single him out and create some sort of narrative about this is a bit exaggerated. And I think the timing of it is very, very interesting as well. 4 days after that Fiorentina game, which is insane. That decision is insane. I mean, it's just, I have no words for it.
I agree. It's a terrible decision.
The timing of it is very funny. The timing of it is very, very interesting. But I mean, we're used to this. This is the Il Processo di Biscardi.
Conspiracy. I'm not allowed to.
It's not a conspiracy. It's not a conspiracy. It's Il Processo di Biscardi 2025. We're creating narratives here about the player who wears black and blue stripes from Milan. But that's okay. It's okay. Ci può stare.
Okay. It's all a conspiracy. I'm not allowed to.
No, it's not a conspiracy. It's not a conspiracy when it's right there in front of your eyes.
Player that I want to become a top player. I mean, it's fine if you.
Every single player does it. Every single player exaggerates contact.
So there isn't. So Neymar. So there's not. So when Neymar was doing it, we're not allowed to criticize Neymar.
Of course we can. Neymar was rolling. He became a meme. Was rolling into the there wasn't any contact on him.
And people talked about it.
When does Pio Esposito do that? When has Pio Esposito done that? When has
he's not rolling, but he's thrown himself to the floor.
No, he isn't.
There's different ways of diving him. You don't have to roll over 1,000 times to be a diver.
No, but that's what Neymar did, and that's why people were criticizing him for, because he was being ridiculous. But this is this is just the usual whatever. But it's ridiculous, and the timing of it above all is hilarious.
It's not the timing is because he dived three. The timing is because he dived 3 times.
No, he didn't. He didn't dive once. What he did was exaggerate the contact and impact. And it's hilarious to me because that's exactly what Francesco Totti used to do, Pippo Inzaghi used to do, Angelo Di Livio used to do,
there's been
Alessandro
players
Del Piero used to do, and they were all praised for it. They were all praised for it.
I know, Nima.
No one criticized them or called them a diver. Everyone called it furbo. Everyone called it furbo. That was fantastic.
And exactly, if you're not listening to my words, you're just taking the negative that you want to see.
No, I'm not. I'm not
saying, Nima, that Francesco Pio Esposito invented diving. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that.
No, but he's being criticized for it. He's being criticized.
That's what I'm saying. And I prefaced it by saying I'm a massive fan of the player. I love him, and I want him to become one of the best.
I'm a massive fan of Del Piero, Totti, Di and Filippo Inzaghi too. But the difference is that I never branded them divers. I knew back then it was called Furbo, and everybody thought it was brilliant, you yourself included. So I think it's hilarious that we brand a player.
So I prefaced that, and I said I want him to continue buying free kicks. I'm saying he needs to be careful of overdoing it. Because
he's not a diver, and he hasn't dived. What he has done is what every other footballer has done. It's hilarious to me because, as I said, some of the greatest Italian footballers, which I've mentioned, Del Piero, Totti, Inzaghi, they all used Filippo Inzaghi. They used to do it, and no one had a problem with it. But now we're supposed to pretend that this 19, 20, 21-year-old is some sort of a diver when he hasn't done anything. All he does is every other.
I'm not necessarily saying it's a massive problem. I'm saying he just needs to be careful not to overdo it. I'm not even saying don't do it. I'm not even saying don't buy. I'm not saying don't buy. I'm saying don't overdo it.
The greatest Italian football attackers, for most of their careers together, spent their times on their backs with their legs wide open, like Sarah Young, Jenna Jameson, and Tracy Lords. Right, other goats and other more X-rated.
I'm assuming they're all.
But then we had no problem with it. But here we're supposed to say that he has to be careful. He's getting a reputation, doing nothing more than every other footballer in Serie A does. Every single week.
I disagree. I think
single week.
I think to the extent he's doing it, he's overdoing it.
No, he's not.
He doesn't want to.
He's got the wrong.
I'm just saying he needs to be careful. Doesn't want to create a reputation because that goes against you. You start to have people against you. If you overdo it, people turn against you.
Yeah, with this narrative creating that we're seeing, of course, but because it is a stretch, it is an exaggeration. He didn't dive. He exaggerated a contact, which I see every single week in every single league.
Yeah. Again, I'm not talking about an individual incident. I'm talking about.
No, I'm talking about this game. I'm talking about this season. I haven't seen him dive. I've seen him exaggerate contact. But if that's a problem, then that's a problem for all players, not just him, is it? I mean, this is exactly my point.
Yes, it is a problem for all players. So if you
want to
say about another player, say about another player.
Who? We haven't brought it up once this season about any other player.
Well, find me someone. I'm highlighting him because that's what I've noticed. You know,
yeah,
that's
fine.
Your
spidey senses tingle
you don't have to
when
get
he
so
does it,
you don't have to get so defensive. I've sat here and praised Inter for a whole thing. I've said one negative thing about Inter, and you get
it's because this is a narrative building, and it happens 3-4 days after one of the most egregious VAR scandals we've seen, where he's clotheslined. Literally clothesline,
and it's a
penalty.
Now
3 days later, he's a diver,
and it's a penalty. I said it, and I think everybody said it's a penalty. You know,
it's Il Processo di Biscardi 2025. That's what it is. It's narrative building, and it's narrative building because he's got the wrong stripes from the north on. That's what it is.
Narrative building goes both ways, Nima. Narrative building goes the other way.
No, it doesn't.
Well.
Because I'm consistent. It does. I never criticized Totti, Del Piero, Inzaghi, any of those for diving because I think it's part of the game. I think Furbo is part of the game. I have no
so do I.
Which is exactly it's up to the referee. It's up to the referee to see through it. But to start saying,
and they will. That's my point, Nima. They will see through it, and they'll over punish him if he carries on the way he is.
Well, that's why we have VAR. And if the VAR actually does its job,
but VAR doesn't work just for penalties. VAR also works for free kicks, and he's going to stop being given free kicks outside the area.
VAR doesn't work for free kicks. They don't give free kicks for VAR.
Exactly, that's my point. VAR can't overturn an incorrect free kick that isn't given against him because he's got a reputation as a diver. That's my point. You know, but anyway, let's move on to Napoli. Who
they'll enjoy.
Huh?
They'll enjoy that.
Well, of course they'll bloody enjoy it. Well, I don't know. I think some people are a bit fed up of it, but yeah. Anyway, let's move on.
If they're fed up of it, they should stop with the narrative building. That's the narrative building. I'm looking for consistency.
No.
Well, yeah, exactly. It goes both ways.
It goes both ways. It goes with what the narratives that maybe you might try and build. It goes that way.
No, I ain't building. I don't build a narrative. Which narrative am I building? I have one standard. I didn't criticize Del Piero, Totti, Inzaghi, Dell'Emilia.
No, I'm not talking about diving. I'm talking about other narratives. If you build another narrative, that goes another way. I don't want any narratives, but I'm not building a narrative. I'm just making an observation. That's all I'm making. Right. But you have to take it defensively every time.
No, because the timing of this is, I wasn't born yesterday.
No, it's not born yesterday. I've been talking about Esposito diving privately since the beginning of the season. I've never mentioned it until now because he did 3 yesterday.
But he's not diving. He's not diving. It's. I mean, should
Okay,
we?
that's your
should we do
opinion.
this
You're
about every
allowed to,
single
you're
player
allowed to
then?
your opinion. Your opinion
No,
is
he's
he's not a
David.
diver. That's
He's
fine.
He's doing
My
what
opinion.
every other player
That's
in the
fine.
Serie A
That's
does.
fine. That's your opinion, Nima. You're allowed your opinion. I'm allowed my opinion without it being a narrative. Okay, you can't just every single time someone says negative about Inter say it's narrative building. That's not fair.
It is narrative building because you don't say it about anyone else. You don't say it about any other.
Because
see this
I will say it about someone else.
This weekend we saw it.
So I used to say. So I've said it about Raheem Sterling when he used to dive during the Euros. Was that narrative building, or was that I'm just observing that Raheem Sterling was a diver? I'm not allowed to say anything about Inter without it being.
I think the timing of it. I think
people
the timing
can be
of it.
Nima, people can
you
be
can be
critical.
You can be critical all you want, but it is narrative building. It is narrative building because and the timing of it makes it just chef's kiss good because it comes 3-4 days after one of the most egregious VAR decisions against him that we've seen, and now all of a sudden he's a diver.
Which everybody said was a disgrace. Which everybody said was a penalty. Which everyone said was a penalty.
Yeah, so but the timing of this, and now all of a sudden,
when do you want me to say it? A game after he dives 3 times. When do you want me to say it? And again, after a game when he didn't,
he didn't dive 3 times.
Okay,
that's the narrative you're inventing.
That's your opinion.
He didn't dive. He
that's your opinion,
Nima. No, that's your opinion. You can't say that someone dives when there's contact and he exaggerates the impact of the contact.
Your opinion,
which every other player does.
Okay, well, listen, everybody listening to this or watching it, you tell us. You tell us whether you think he's a diver or not, and we'll leave the comments there up. Every single one of them up without. So anyway, Napoli, right? They slipped up only just after conceding their 3rd penalty in a week. And there's another narrative building.
No, it's not. It's a fact.
I'm joking, Nima. I'm winding you up. Okay. So Napoli concede a penalty and they're saved by Milinkovic-Savic, so they gain a point. Napoli struggled in this game. Como were the bosses. I thought Como were outstanding. I thought their pressing was outstanding. They were swarming Napoli players high. In fact, I want to talk about Como first here. Then we'll come on to Napoli because I want to just sing the praises of Cesc Fabregas. Cesc Fabregas is going to become one of the world's best coaches. I think the way that his Como team went to the champions, the way that they played, the way they dominated the play, the way they pressed, the way they didn't let Napoli barely create anything with such a young team. I just love the way that his teams dominate, control games. They're good to watch. And Fabregas is full of such great ideas. And this, I'll get the best example is actually from the penalty. Right, I don't know if you saw this, but there's an image that's going around doing the rounds of Fabregas put Igor Smolcic standing on the right-hand side of the penalty area, and he's just behind the ball. Obviously, whenever this is the first time I've ever seen anyone ever do this, when the players are waiting for the penalty to be taken, they're all standing behind the ball, obviously outside of the area, and they're ready to get in for the rebound. Fabregas came up with the scheme of putting Smolcic way out on the right so that if the ball gets parried to the side, which it did, that player can actually get in there first. Now, nothing came of it, but it just, for me, that just kind of just illustrates kind of like what a great thinker that Fabregas is, that he's coming up with these new kind of ideas. And I think that Fabregas is a really special coach. You can see the influence of some of the great coaches he's worked with, Guardiola, but even someone like Antonio Conte, who of course coached him at Chelsea, somebody that there was a little bit of beef between them during the game as well, which was quite amusing. But, Como not bad defensively as well. Like this isn't Roberto De Zerbi or one of these kind of kids on the block where, yes, they're amazing going forward, but you can see that they need to improve defensively. Like I think that Como look really solid defensively. They're balanced as well in the way that they play, and they work as a unit, as a team. I was really, really impressed with Como, and away from Fabregas, I think that the way that this Como project is being run, the way that the club is being run, I think that Como will win the Serie A within the next 5-10 years if the owners keep the project going, they keep investing, they keep running the club so well from the scouting to to the way that they train the players, the vision of the club, and this is the big if they keep Fabregas, which is going to be tough. I don't know what his plans are. Obviously, Inter tried to get him this summer. I don't know, if someone like Barcelona or Arsenal come calling, which I think
Arsenal. I think he should go to Arsenal. I think he should go to Arsenal. I think he's the football he plays, man, is
amazing. But just to finish off, and then you can say, if you look at the age of this Como team, Diao, 20, I thought he was really dangerous in this game. Adai, 20, a player. He wasn't so good in this game, but I really like him. Kakare, 25. Nico Paz, 20. Okay, he's going to leave. Peroni, 22. I thought they were dominated. They were outstanding in centre midfield in this game. Batterino, who's barely even played, 22. Da Cunha, 24. If they can keep this core together, minus Paz, add a few more pieces, keep Fabregas at least for another couple of years or so. I mean, I really love this Como project. Okay, they've got the billionaire owners. We know that, but they're being run well. The club is being run really well.
I think the thing I find most fascinating about Fabregas is the football he plays. It's like he's like Arteta, but without the stupidity and nonsense. Like, he's defensively very solid, but he's much more impressive in the attacking phase. And he seems much more in control of his emotions and how he behaves than Arteta does, who seems like a nutter. Let's be honest. I mean, Arteta seems like he's out there. I mean, all I do is refer to those scenes from when they were showing what he was telling the Arsenal players, and there's this like Martin Ødegaard's face has become a meme. He's wondering what the hell is going on. Like, you don't understand what he's doing. I think he's like Arteta, but better going forward and without the baggage, the emotional baggage. I would love to see what he can do at Arsenal as a coach. I think he should go there. I would love to see him at Arsenal. They were really good in this game. And what I like also probably the most about Fabregas, even more than what I said before, so I correct myself, it's how he manages to counter opposition managers. Like the way that he prepared to neutralize Antonio Conte, the way he likes to attack, and then identify the weaknesses in Conte's team and try to exploit them. That is the most impressive part, and he does it time and time and time again. And that to me that's the hallmark of a great coach. That's why I think you're right. That he will be one of the best coaches in the world in the not so distant future. He reads games really well. He prepares for the biggest games really well. He's very defensively solid. He's very good at going attack, and he knows how to have the dressing room behind him. No, I'm really, really impressed. Exactly. He's not a new kid on the block like the Zerbi and all these other. This is something big we're seeing now. I think we're seeing the beginning of something really big.
I agree. And I think that I'm sure Como can challenge to qualify for the Champions League this season. I'm not saying they'll do it. I'm not saying they'll
they can challenge for it.
I'm saying they're going to challenge. I'm sorry, but to go to Napoli and play like this, you've got a chance of challenging. They beat Juventus. Yeah. Okay, it was Juventus in crisis. They beat Juventus with half their team out. Their team in this game was more close to their full strength, and then we saw if they can keep everyone fit and have all their players playing like in this game. Honestly, I think they've got a chance. I think they've got the one thing that they're lacking, and it's a problem, and they need to address it in January, is a number 9. Morata's a disaster, and Morata missed the penalty. Why is Morata still taking penalties in 2025? How many years of missed penalties does this guy have to do? He's one of the worst penalty. Like with Dybala, he's one of the best penalty takers in the world. Morata is one of the worst. Like, so I have to criticize Fabregas on that. Why are you letting Morata take? Why isn't Nico Paz taking it? Why is Morata taking the penalty? I mean, insanity. I mean, Italy are Euro champions because he took a penalty in that Spain game. I mean. So he's off it. You can see, like, this guy 18 months ago was outstanding in Spain winning the Euros. His decline really has been bad over the last 18 months. Milan. Then he went to Turkey. Now he's come back to. Has he even scored for Como this season? I'm not sure if he's even scored.
I'm not sure. Yeah,
I don't think he's even scored.
Sure.
Yeah, so they need a number 9 because that's actually a bit like Roma. That's holding this Como team back. They would have at least 4 or 5 more points this season if they had a proper number 9, and that's costing them. I think Fabregas, fantastic. The only thing I'll say about Fabregas, right, and I don't mean to be mean here, okay, but it seems like I'm being mean on this podcast today, is he's the worst dressed coach in football.
He can't be worse than Christian Kivu.
No, I'm sorry, Cesc Fabregas.
Have you seen how Kivu dresses?
No, Fabregas is worse than Kivu.
No,
I mean, how does Kivu? Well, listen, Fabregas. Have you seen him? He wears school trousers. He wears school trousers every single time. He wears school shoes or trainers. I don't think he wore trainers this game, but he wears school trousers, school shoes. He wears these kind of fleece tops or these kind of like V-neck tops. He's an amazing coach, but I mean, he does not know how to dress. He just let your wife.
Kivu is not a good dresser either. Like between them, I think they're the worst. David and Nicola.
How does Kivu dress?
Christian Kivu with his like polo. No, what do you call them? Like these PK, these Ralph Lauren, like kind of buttoned up golf shirts, and he dresses like it's just so ugly.
I've never been a fan of those. I've never been a fan of those Ralph Lauren like V-neck button-up tops. Yeah. I've never liked them. I've never thought that they were stylish. Some people like them, but they don't. For me,
no, it's that, and then the trainer trousers, the trainer like the gym shoes. No. Between David and Nicola, Christian Kivu, and Cesc Fabregas are the 3 worst dressers. Coaches, three worst dress coaches in the Serie A.
Fabregas, Kivu, and
David and Nicola. Like have you seen? He looks like an uncle. He looks like a dad that is stressed watching his kids play from work, and he just wants to go home and get everything sorted. Like it's just no. They can't dress. Neither of them. They're not good, well dressed at all. He's wearing these like stay-at-home dad jumpers, David and Nicola, and like no. They're not well. Neither of them are well dressed.
Iachini with the baseball cap as well. Iachini wearing the baseball cap with a suit on his daughter's wedding day. That's up there as well. But yeah, you think Fabregas, all that money. I mean, learn how to dress. Seriously. I mean, oh man. I'm sorry. I know I'm being really mean and horrible to him. But listen, I love him as a coach. I think he's
a fantastic coach. He's unbelievable. He really is.
But Napoli,
there's no doubt. I mean, I have 100. I agree 100%. I have no doubts that he will be a world-class coach, one of the best in the world. And if he were not to be, I'd be very disappointed. Like I really would, because I really think he has everything to be a top coach.
Yeah, I agree. But as for Napoli, they really struggled in this game, and I think the biggest issue that they have at the moment is they're lacking something in attack. Because first of all, the positives for Napoli is their defense looked better in this game. This is the first time I've actually seen, because even for all of Como's dominance, Como didn't actually create that much. They had the penalty, obviously, but apart from the penalty, I think they had a Diao chance in the first half, and then that's really it for big chances. And I thought that Napoli looked the unit, they look more solid. Rachmani coming back obviously makes a big difference. We can see how important Rachmani is, the organisation of that defence. And 100%. Maybe Buongiorno slowly getting his rhythm back now, and his match rhythm back makes a difference. So I thought that defensively they were good, which is important because they've been letting in way too many goals. But their biggest issue this season is attack. 0.32 XG in this game. And we said last season that Napoli won the Scudetto despite having one of the worst, weakest attacks ever from a Scudetto winner. And I stand by that now.
Yeah, 100%.
Right? Especially after Kvara left mid-season. They've spent all that money this summer on attackers. Luca, Lang, Højlund. We must be talking about over 100 million on those 3. And we have to ask the question, have they improved their attack at all?
I think Højlund Højlund is an improvement. Lucas certainly.
He's not an improvement on Lukaku, though, is he? Is he?
I think it's different. I think the
in the
way
long
that
term,
I think it's different, if that makes sense. The way that they play. When Højlund is, he has some traits that are reminiscent of Lukaku, but he's much more of a threat in depth and in like towards goal than Lukaku is. But overall you can't. What are we going to say?
I mean, Luka and Lang are not. If you're talking about pecking order, okay, some of these are slightly different players, but Neres and Politano are ahead of Luka and Lang in the pecking order. Luka is literally. It's like Conte, okay, maybe he's just taking him out of the team for a bit, but he's not playing Luka at all now. Like he's almost like he's just said, right, you're not good enough at the moment. You're not good enough. And so he's in big trouble, Luka. And Højlund, like you said, but they've got problems in attack because Neres and Politano's numbers, they weren't good enough last season. They're not good enough this season. Politano, 0 goals, 1 assist in 9 games this season. Neres, 0 goals, 2 assists this season. Those numbers are not good enough at all. They're not getting enough goals, assists, creation from their attackers. And De Bruyne's out for 4 months, which means even less of a goal threat because with him, okay, he's maybe not the same player, but he will create chances. He will get assists. He is a goal threat still. And above all else, I think we're seeing how tactically the attack is missing Lukaku. The build-up play without Lukaku is not the same. Højlund, yes, he gives that depth, but Højlund, I mean, the biggest problem, you ask any Man United fan, you ask Ruben Amorim, that Højlund can't hold the ball up. His hold-up play is not good enough.
Well, that's what Conte has to improve on him, isn't it? I mean, he has to teach him how to do that, and I think he'll be able to do that. And just to flip the positive side of that you said, which I agree with, is that they're still top of the Serie A, despite all these problems, which is a very good thing. And just a point on Rahmani, who I want to tip my hat to him, because when Koulibaly was there, when Kim Min-jae was there, he was the weakest link. Now he's the strongest link. And it's so nice to see players take that step. And I think he has taken that step. He's now a leader in Napoli's defense, and he's their most important defender. And I think we should praise him for that, because I, for one, have no problem admitting that I'd never thought he would be that leader that he has grown to be. The last 2 seasons. So I do want to
agreed. That's the one big positive, and actually Conte was actually quite happy with that. That I think Conte realizes that to build the backbone of a Scudetto winner, you need a strong defense, and we saw a Napoli team that were completely dominated tactically and in terms of play in this game. But actually, if you take away the penalty, really, were quite solid at the back, despite being under a lot of pressure the whole game. Final point, though, Milinkovic-Savic. I mean, this guy is a penalty monster. 2 penalty saves in 1 week. He's single-handedly really earned Napoli 4 points this week. Because
he did kind of he gifted the penalty that he saved. So
okay, fair enough. But if you take the Lecce one, Kamada scores that penalty deep in, midway through or the second half. Napoli at best they probably draw that game. At worst, they lose that game. That's 3 points, 2 to 3 points already.
Yeah, without a doubt.
So, I mean, what's crazy about Milinkovic-Savic? Milinkovic-Savic has saved 6 of his last 9 penalties.
That's mental.
I mean, that's
mental.
Ridiculous.
That is absolutely mental. I think after, because I think Donnarumma is the best when it comes to penalties, but I think maybe after Donnarumma, he's probably the best in Europe saving penalties. Now, I think he's such an underrated goalkeeper, and I think he has been for quite some time. I loved him at Torino. And I'm glad he got his big money move. And I think
I like his mentality. I like he's commanding. He's good with his feet as well, which which will in time, I think, give Napoli at least an extra dimension. And he's a monster. Like, he's 6'8". Like, he's even bigger than Donnarumma. Yeah. And when you're facing a goalkeeper that takes up so much space in the goal at penalties, it's a nightmare. It's the worst thing for any penalty taker. Or immediately you think, right, I have to put more on the penalty. I have to make it more in the corner, and that adds to the risk of you hitting the post or putting it wide or putting it over because you put extra on it and it plays with your mind. He's had a great start. Napoli have had a mixed, mercato in terms of how well their players have done so far. He's been the one that's the only one really that's been definitely a success so far, I think.
And we have to talk. One thing we do have to mention is Gilmour got injured. De Bruyne is out. Anguissa will be out in January for the AFCON. Should they buy a midfielder?
Well, they will.
Because Lobotka is getting,
They should. They will. That's 100%. We knew that already. They already were planning to buy a centre midfielder before all these injuries. Now it's complete crisis. Now they're in crisis in centre midfield now. Let alone once Anguissa goes and once they've played more games. Anguissa's already is getting completely overplayed right now.
He's getting the Conte treatment that Barella got for 2 years.
Yeah,
being played into the ground.
Napoli are in trouble in midfield. I mean, in this game, they had to play Elmas as a centre midfielder. He's not a centre midfielder. He's an attacking midfielder. So they're in trouble in midfield. They really are. I mean, Lobotka's back now, and he played the last few minutes. So, yeah, that's important. But, yeah, they're going to have to try and get through these next 2 months with basically barely anything in midfield. The injury situation at Napoli, like we spoke, I don't want to repeat ourselves. It's costing them. It's costing them big time at the moment,
But they're still top of the league despite all that, which is really, really interesting.
Yeah, well, it's a good achievement to be top with all the injuries they've had for sure. Right, let's talk about Juventus. Dream debut for Spalletti. 90 seconds, less than 90 seconds into his debut, and Juventus took the lead. Kostic scoring the goal. I think it was a good start for Spalletti's Juve. They dominated the game, apart from when Vardy scored the goal from some really bad defending from Gatti. They kind of held on, they time wasted to make sure they got over the line, and it was a little bit, they didn't really risk a second goal, but it was just a bit ugly that last 10 minutes. But apart from that, they dominated this game, they controlled the game, they moved the ball much better, much faster than they have done under Tudor. It was a bit more fluent. They created plenty of chances in this game. They looked much more dangerous going forward than they have done under Tudor. And they conceded virtually nothing other than that Vardy goal. They conceded nothing, and there was a lot of good individual performances. So I think that good start for Spalletti. We shouldn't read too much into it purely because he stuck with the 3-5-2.
I was just going to say.
Yeah, he only had one training session, so he decided.
Listen, building on that point, wouldn't it be the most hilarious irony if he were to succeed with Juventus playing a 3-5-2 after failing miserably with Italy, being unable to play a 3-5-2? I mean, that would be just. I mean, that's hilarious. But I got to say, playing Koopmeiners as a left centre back was brilliant.
Yeah, I like that. That was the forward thinking, proactive side of Spalletti we want to see, in the sense that you're playing against a Cremonese team that you know are going to defend. You know they're not going to dominate the ball, and they're just going to counter attack. So why would you want to have 3 out and out centre backs? You're better off putting it was kind of forced into it in the sense that Kelly was out, and it was either him or Rugani. But he thought, you know what? Why should I play 3 centre-backs that can't do anything offensively? I might as well put in another midfielder, let him pull into midfield, give us an extra man in midfield. And that's what he did, and that helped Juventus dominate. And that's the Spalletti tactical...
That's the
tactical strengths that someone like Tudor doesn't have that ability. He's not...
Listen,
he doesn't have that.
Look, Spalletti, we're talking about tactically one of the greatest Italian managers of his generation. Like, let's put all the hyperbole aside here. Spalletti is a fantastic coach. The way that he views football, the system changes that he has come up with. I'd argue that the 4-2-3-1 that Italy won the World Cup with was Spalletti was the biggest proponent of that in Italy at the time. Let's be fair here to him. And he is a very tactically sound coach. The problem has been in his career that he hasn't been able to cut it at the top clubs. at the top level. He's done well at Roma, at Napoli, but at Inter he did okay. He hit the targets, but there were other problems at Inter, and he wasn't unable to handle that. Let's see what happens at Juve. And the fact that, I mean, he himself kind of alluded to the fact that Juventus only gave him an 8-month contract, not with with an option that they can exercise to extend should they finish, not an automatic extension. That tells, he was very open about it in his press conference, and that's something that Patrick Kendrick picked up on afterwards as well. He spoke about it in one of his videos, which I thought was very astutely done. To understand where he is in his coaching career after what happened with Italy. He knows where he is, but he is very sound tactically. We should understand that his way of, reinventing players, making players take a leap in quality, reimagining football and how it should be played in which certain positions. He's brilliant at that. And that's why I'm so disappointed that he couldn't do it for Italy, because I really expected him to be able to do that, because given, the quality that he possesses. But I think there are other things that you need to be in charge of when you're the Italy manager, when you're a coach of Juve Inter long term, which apparently in his career he's been unable to deliver. But he said himself, why can't we be in a Scudetto race? Well, he's right. They're not far off. We're only 10 matches deep.
Mathematically, they're only 4 points behind.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And if he were to continue playing this 3-5-2, because Juventus looked really solid, the players looked really happy. You
got to look at the opposition, of course. You got to look at the opposition.
That's a fair point, but I think it's going to be interesting.
You're going to get. I wouldn't read too much into this game for a number of reasons. One, he played a 3-5-2. They're not going to play 3-5-2 under Spalletti. Once he's had a few more training sessions, maybe against Sporting they might, because he's only going to get another training session. I don't know. We'll see. But going forward, once he's had certainly after the international break, I'm sure he'll go to a back four. I'm pretty sure about that. So I wouldn't read too much into that. I also think that, the opposition and also new manager bounce is not a myth. It's a real thing.
No.
When you get a new manager comes in, even with Brambilla, we saw a reaction from Juventus in midweek when they won in midweek. So there's that. But I think it was a good start. I think we saw, again, if we'd like, well, I said with Gasperini, we saw some of the prints of Spalletti on this game, the way that he wants them to control the game, some of the little patterns of play, which we just saw none of under Tudor. We started to see some of those. So that was positive, I think. And I thought that there was a few really good individual performances. I think Cambiasso was the biggest positive, because he's had a nightmare 2025, and he was great in this game. He was also good in the midweek game for Brambilla. He's somebody that was publicly criticised by Tudor, which I don't think was a good look at all. It's not, the way that Tudor said after his last game, and he wasn't completely wrong, but you don't say something like this. He publicly said that Cambiasso cannot defend. I can't play him at left back because he can't defend. That's basically what he said. So that's not nice. That's not nice. And the way that he's reacted to that, and he's playing for Spalletti, who's somebody that kind of had some up and downs with him in the Italy team. He gave him his chance for his Italy debut, but then didn't play him at the Euros much, didn't trust him at the Euros. But then during the only 2 months that Spalletti was great for Italy, which was the September and October of 2024, when they beat France in Paris and they looked really good, Cambiasso was kind of like the star man of those 2 months, and he looked really good. So I think that there is the possibility for, hopefully, also for Italy's sake, that we can see the Cambiasso of 2024 re-emerge under Spalletti. And I think that he was really good in this game. So that's at hope. I thought Kostic was outstanding. He scored the goal. But can Kostic...
I think he can. I knew you were going to bring this up, and I think he can. And I'll tell you why. I think he can because we've seen him do this before, where he plays a back four, but the right back inverts so that it becomes like a back three in transition going forward, where you push up the left back. The problem there, of course, is where does Cambiasso fit in? Because I think if you play Kalulu there as more of a centre back, then you can play Kostic. But if you're going to put Cambiasso in there, maybe not. Maybe he can teach him.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see what he does.
Yeah, and there's a couple of else things, because I think there's so much to take from this. I was very impressed by this. debut. I think I only missed 2 games this weekend. I watched all of them because I think there were so many talking points. But Locatelli was very good. I was very impressed. And the fact that, there's supposedly this problem between Locatelli and Spalletti at the Azzurri level. Well, there was none of that today. There was none of that now, at least not from this game. I thought it was great. I loved him. Koopmeiners as left centre back. I loved that. I loved Kostic as well, Cambiasso as well. Vlahovic showing that he can play with his back against the goal was just, whoa. If Spalletti can get him to do that, wow.
I liked how he threw his weight around Vlahovic a lot more. He's got a big guy, and he should be using that body to better effect. And I liked his aggression. I liked and again, he was up against Baschirotto, who is physically probably the biggest guy in Serie A for a centre-back. You can't get any big. I mean, just look at him, like, topless.
Monster.
Like, look up topless photos of Baschirotto. I mean, the guy is an absolute man monster. Yeah.
So we've covered porn stars from the 90s, and now you're urging
I have to say, very impressed by your porn knowledge. I mean, I've heard of Jenna Jameson. I hadn't heard of those other two. So,
well, they were contemporary to Del Piero, Totti. They were all contemporary stars of adult entertainment when Totti, Inzaghi, Del Piero were stars. So I feel it was only fair.
You're digging yourself a hole here,
but I think we've covered the adult part of the pod with those ladies, and now with topless Baschirotto. So we can move on, just to be, No,
I just wanted to finish on Vlahovic. I just wanted to say that I want to see more of this physical Vlahovic. I want to see him put his body about more.
100%.
And I like that in this game. I liked his attitude, and I think if you look at his numbers in this game, like his duels that he won in this game as well, I can't remember the actual number, but he won more than he lost, which is much big improvement on normal. So I think that was good. And I actually have to say, if I could say one thing about Vlahovic this season, I really like his attitude this season. For somebody that's contract is running down, even during these difficult times of the 8-game run, I like his attitude. I like the way that he's behaving like an adult now. He's not, he was a bit of a child before in past seasons, throwing his, complaining, moaning, just as soon as one thing went wrong in a game, that was it, game over for him. Like if he missed a chance in the first 5 minutes in previous seasons, that was it. You knew the next 85 minutes were going to be disaster for Vlahovic. This game, he missed a big chance, no problem. He carried on playing well, So I think that's good. I commend him on that. As for the negatives, Gatti. Gatti's defending on the Vardy goal was horrendous. You should not be... Well, for starters, he's a lot bigger than Vardy, but he should not be getting pushed off the ball like that by Jamie Vardy. That was really bad defending. And it gave Juventus a nervy end to the game. So that was really poor. And also Openda was a little bit more involved. So we want to take some positives, he was a bit more involved. He got some more shots, got some more shots away. But my God, when it came to taking those shots, the way that he snatched at them, some of his decision making, passing when he should shoot, shooting when he should pass, just his execution, not really not good. Very lucky also on the Kostic goal. He should have a shot, does this really awful back heel, and then just gets lucky that the ball gets diverted onto Kostic. So Openda, Spalletti, one of Spalletti's big objectives from the club will be to get the best out of Openda, because Juventus has spent 44 million on somebody who does not look like a footballer at the moment. So Spalletti has that is going to be a big job of Spalletti. Let's see.
And to end the Juventus, just on a question mark, which I'm very excited to see how he handles, is Yildiz. I am very excited to see how Yildiz develops under Spalletti. That I can say. Because he plays in a role that Spalletti's been very good at improving players and getting them to take the next step. And I'm really keen to see what does Spalletti do with Yildiz.
Well, let's see. He's having a bit of a chronic problem, injury at the moment, which has been a little bit concerning, and needs to try to get over that. But absolutely. talking of managers, Ivan Juric is under a lot of pressure at Atalanta after Udinese win 1-0. Abysmal performance this by Atalanta. They had 0 shots on target in this game. They had a 0.37 XG. And if you look at the Serie A table right now, which I'm just going to get up here.
They're 10th on 13 points.
11th, yeah, joint 10th. Well, they're level with Sassuolo, but Sassuolo
have a game in hand
on Monday, which we're recording. So do Lazio. So those teams can go above Atalanta. Lazio are 13th, so they could. Who are Sassuolo playing? Sassuolo playing junior. So if Sassuolo and Lazio win, then Atalanta can go down to 12th. Yeah. So yeah. Anyway, it's been a really bad start to the season in terms of results and points. They've only got
results and points, and I'm glad you said that.
2 wins in 10 games. Yeah, glad you said that. To finish the tee up. Just to finish off the tee up. Nicola Skiras says that Juric is at risk of the sack. That Palladino's entourage was at the Atalanta Milan game in midweek. So Palladino's somebody that they are potentially considering if results improve. I think he's going to get these last 2 games before the international break. I think for sure. Atalanta usually are quite patient as well. So I think he'll definitely get these 2 games. If they were to get 2 negative results, then yeah, he could be at risk going into the international break. But
he admitted himself after the Udinese game that this was a poor game. And there's no discussion. It was the worst game under Juric. But if you've actually watched Atalanta this season in the Serie A, it's one of those situations where we kind of what I said about Allegri, but the difference being that Allegri's gotten the results. The underlying stats, they're creating chances. They create chances, but the players don't score. And I don't know how much you can blame the manager on that. If you create a system, a situation where the players create, but like the system gets them to the point where they create, but they just can't execute in those decisive moments. They hit the bar, they hit the post. I don't really know how much you can blame the manager for that, honestly, because at the end of the day, you've got the players you've got. And the Lookman situation that was dumped in his lap was not in his fault. He had to handle that. And he's gradually reintegrated Lookman. And Lookman has scored since. But he's not the same Ademola Lookman yet. I think it's a weird situation. I understand the rumors now of him getting sacked after that dreary, horrible Udinese game, because they were woeful in that game. But if you've looked at all of their games, I don't really know how much blame I can place on him. I think he's done pretty much all he could do. The problem is that they just can't seem to score. And that is more of a club issue. That on top of the Lookman thing is more of how the club handled certain situations more than Juric. But at the end of the day, this is a results-based industry. And if you don't get the results, you're going to get sacked.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think that there's 2 sides to this. On one side, I think that I'll preface this by saying everybody knows my opinion on Juric. I don't think he's the...
You don't rate him.
It's not that I don't rate him. I think there's levels. I don't think he's a Champions League level coach. I don't think that's his level. I think that's above him. That's my opinion. I think as a coach...
I disagree. But
as a coach of a mid-table Europa League, I think fine. Absolutely. I don't think he's the level... I mean, Atalanta's a difficult club to analyse because Atalanta are not traditional.
Punching above their weight.
They're not, yeah. So it's a difficult one. But do I think that Juric is the level of Milan, Inter, Juventus? No, not even close.
No, but I mean, if you look at him,
close. So if you look at him
against the top sides that he's played, they create overall. I'd say more than not. They have created a lot. It's just
no. I'm just preface. Let me just preface. I'm just prefacing my point that going into this season, I wasn't in favour of Juric getting this job. I think I made that clear. And
I was very much in favour of it.
Yes, you were. So that's the point I want to make. And but at the same time, I also said, even when I said that he wasn't handed an easy situation. He's replacing a legend like Gasperini. It's very difficult to follow a legend. I don't think Atalanta had a particularly good market. I think I said that at the beginning of the season. I said the Lookman situation, which maybe they're starting to come through now. He's playing now, but that didn't help, obviously, with all that. And they've had some bad luck with injuries at the start, but then all clubs have had all the big clubs have had injury crisis. So I don't think we can put that as an excuse. But they've had some bad luck with injuries, and they have had bad luck with some games. They just definitely deserve more points. That can't be argued. And in fact, the underlying stats show that. If you look at the expected points, they should have. I can't find it now, but I think it's at least about 3 points more than they should have. So they've been unlucky. They have been unlucky. But like you said, if you look at it is a results-based business. But throughout his career, that has been his problem, Juric. It has been scoring goals. Now, for most of his career, it's been because they haven't created enough chances. This season, they have been creating chances. They haven't.
I think at Torino, they did create chances. I think it was again the quality that let him down. I'm surprised that Atalanta did not sign someone better than Kristovic, who I think is a decent player. But I don't. You talk about being out of your depth. He's not a Champions League level player. I mean, it's just to replace Retegui with him when Scamacca is a big question mark. When you're a Champions League club, I think that is an issue. De Ketelaere has not delivered as he usually does. I don't know. It's but at the end of the day, you have to get the result. It's the same for all managers. We're not.
You have to get the results, and then what's counting against Juric is his statistically his results over a year now. Over the last year is horrendous. I mean, this season 2 wins in 10 in Serie A, which is obviously not good enough. But he's got 4 wins in his last 30 matches between Atalanta, Southampton, and Roma. Now, of course, again, that's conditioned by the fact that Southampton are not a good team and we're going to get relegated. So, of course, we need to.
And the Roma appointment was insanity.
Well, Roma appointment was bad, but then you can look at the other side and say Ranieri came in and basically was the Roma were the best team in Serie A for the rest of the season. So
different coaches.
I think Roma. I don't want to defend him at Roma. He just didn't do a good job at Roma. But Southampton, yes. But listen, the bottom line is this: you say it's a results-based business, and if you've got 4 wins in your last 30 matches, your employees are going to look at that and are going to be concerned. So it's nuanced, which is the word that I hate the most in the world.
Why?
Is nuanced.
It is nuanced. What's wrong with nuance?
That word because it's the most used word by wankers in the media. Trust me, I've worked in the corporate media, and you're in an office with corporate wankers, and they use the word nuance all the time, and it pisses you off after a while. Trust me. But fucking now I'm using it. I'm becoming a wanker as well. But listen, I think that. I think he deserves more. I do think he deserves more time. So I think they have been unlucky as well. I think they have been unlucky. But he's got to he's got to turn these results over. And obviously, the nature of that performance was abysmal.
It was horrible.
It was abysmal.
Horrible.
The other performances haven't been bad. Like against Milan, just as recently as last week, they deserve to win that game. So it's a weird one. Udinese, though, I do want to give.
I was just about to say we have to talk about Zaniolo. I mean, I love Zaniolo. And if we can see, if Zaniolo can be rehabilitated after 2 serious knee injuries, no one will be happier than I am. Because I think he's got these unique traits. And it's just, to watch him score, to watch him regain his confidence, to watch him start to materialize his incredible talent finally at a consistent level is I know it's still very early days, but I'm very hopeful. I've been waiting for this for many years, and I really, really hope that he can, because it would be ultimately he is a unique player. Italy don't have many players like him, And for the Azzurri, if he can become the big Zaniolo again, long may it continue. I'm really happy about this.
Absolutely. I mean, listen, it's too early to be talking about can he get back in the Italy squad, but we don't have many options in attack or in the outside attacking roles. So I wouldn't rule it out completely if he can get his confidence back and everything else. But it's too early. It's too early. But I think Udinese are. I said it after they beat Inter. I said Udinese are going to be a team that are going to trouble the big teams. They were unlucky against Juventus in midweek. Baggio misses a sitter to make it 2-2 in the last minute. Yep. He should score. It's a horrendous miss.
Now, we have to give praise to Costa Runjajic. He's doing an excellent job. We have to do.
No, they've beaten Inter. They've beaten Atalanta. They nearly drew with Juventus. They're a handful. And I like about them is they have some really interesting youngsters who are going to join bigger teams. Sule is ready for a big team already, but because he has the sex case, whatever it is.
The reason I'm smiling is because this seems to be the theme. This is the X-rated. We're really in on the sex today.
Yes, we are. Yeah. Put this out after hours. That would be good. We should do an after hours Italian football podcast.
Italian football podcast.
A new tier.
After the watershed moment, as they have on the BBC. What is it? 10 p.m. or is it 9 p.m.?
Yeah, we're doing the after hours episode. We'll get one of those ladies that they get on Italian TV that just sit there and like with nothing on.
You really want to turn this into the Moggi era, don't you? Just have people scream. Yeah, bring on Biscardi. Let's have kids and ass on the background and
Anyway. I think they've got interesting youngsters. Sule is ready. Christensen, who didn't play in this game, I really like. Atta, I think, is really growing. I
like Atta.
Atta's really growing as well.
No, I really like what Costa Runjajic is doing. I really like. It's not easy for a foreign coach to come to the Serie A and deliver without experience. And he was fairly inexperienced when he came, and he's been really good.
Yeah. Rest of the fixtures. So Fiorentina 0, Lecce 1. That's got to be it now for Stefano Pioli, surely. I mean, it seems like he has to go now. He has to go. I mean, we're recording this Monday morning. By the time this comes out, maybe he will have been sacked. I don't see how he can survive. The results obviously are terrible. They haven't won a game all season. They're in the relegation zone. But the performances, I think it's the performances that kill him. That they were dreadful against Inter. They got battered from start to finish against Inter, and then home against Lecce to play like this is just not good enough.
Listen, they're a club in complete crisis. Daniele Pradè was sacked midweek. Stefano Pioli refuses to resign. He's he was nervous. The club captain Ranieri, I mean, the last 15 minutes of that Lecce game were insane. It's the kind of nervousness you see in a relegation's dogfight in April, May, not in match day 10 in November, late October, early November. It was mental. The penalty that was by after VAR review that was such a weird decision. I don't understand it, because the contact in and of itself, if you just freeze frame it on the contact, yes, you can't say that that's enough contact for a penalty. But the problem is that the contact kicked the Ranieri's right leg, to clip his own left leg, which is why he fell. So I thought it was a very strange decision. I don't understand. I'm not saying it's a scandal. I don't understand it. Why because you could see what he was looking at, and he was freeze framed on just the contact. But then the contact caused his leg to clip his own leg. I mean, it's like if I walk behind you and I kick your leg to hit your other leg and you fall over. Okay, well, the first contact may not warrant a penalty, but as a result of my contact is the reason why you fell over. Ranieri, the captain, was nervous. He was furious. Now, this was a very, very nervous Fiorentina. They weren't good, don't get me wrong. And I liked that Lecce one. It delighted me on a personal level.
You love Lecce, you do.
Yeah, I love Lecce. I don't want them, but it was a weird. And then Pioli standing and Ranieri standing next to the referee when he was looking at the VAR. It was madness. Like, you can't have that. And now there's even talk of that Palladino's problem was Prader. And if Prader leaves, there's talk of Palladino coming back, which I think might be the best solution, to be honest.
Well, to be honest, we've said for years, I know I have, that Prader is the most overrated sporting director in Italy. I think it's ridiculous that he's lasted this long at Fiorentina. He's held them back for years. I think what Vincenzo Italiano, I think what he did, despite the work of Prader, I think we're seeing that, you know, he did a much better job than probably even Palladino himself last season did a much better job than maybe he was given credit for, because Prader is a disaster. And we've seen the way, again, like we said about Juventus, it's the way that Fiorentina have been constructed this season. Clearly, you know, it's been a disastrous mercato. They haven't been constructed very well. And
no, they haven't. But I'm just glad that Prader's gone, and I kind of hope they bring Palladino back, because I think the job is unfinished there. And if they actually bring,
might be the best. Is he still being paid?
No, that's one of those things that Pioli's been criticized for by Fiorentina fans, is that
he won't resign.
Palladino resigned and didn't want the money. He just wanted to get away from Fiorentina and Palladino, from Prader, and Pioli refuses to do that.
I kind of understand it in the sense that didn't he leave Al Nassr, even though he still had a rich contract, in order to go to...
I'm not sure.
Or was his contract expired? I can't remember. I can't remember. But it's a difficult one, isn't it? I mean, you know, you still got to have a salary. But yeah, anyway, Torino 2, Pisa 2. And crazy first half. All goals in the first half. Cholito Simeone missed a sitter when he was alone with the goalkeeper. He tripped over his own feet. Now, the first half was mental, and it could have had 5 goals in it. But Pisa, you know, they get a point. And just like the first half, I'd say in the derby Dell'Emilia between Parma and Bologna, in the first 35 minutes, where Parma scoring the opening 13 seconds, I think it was. What's his name? Britschke, I think his name is, hits the crossbar. 2 minutes later, Castro equalizes. Then Ordonez gets himself sent off on 2 yellow cards within 7 minutes. And then it's just you're just waiting for Bologna to score the winner, which they did. But it was a nice derby. It was a nice derby between Parma and Bologna. It was very eventful. And Bologna continued to punch above their weight. And best of wishes also to Vincenzo Italiano, who's recovering from pneumonia.
He is, and they continue to do well, and they're on 8. If I'm not mistaken, they're on the same points as Juventus, 18 points. Which is, you know,
and they've conceded last-minute goals as well this season. Otherwise, they'd be higher. Right, Baggio, Premface, and Serie ASS of the week. And just before we start, Baggio, I should have noted also that we'll do a preview of the European fixtures, Champions League, Europa League, Conference League, in our Q&A show.
For patrons only on patreon.com/TIFB.
Yeah. HTTP.
And YouTube memberships. Exactly.
Yeah. And don't forget the HTTPs at the...
Yeah, don't forget the HTTPS://.
Okay. Right. Baggio, I think Zaniolo. And
I like Zaniolo. Yeah, Milinkovic-Savic, Zaniolo. And I also want to, because we criticize the referees a lot, but I think we should praise the referees when they do it right. I think this was a difficult game by Doveri to handle in Verona, and I think he got every major decision right. And what I like about Doveri, and this is why he's my favorite referee in the Serie A, is the fact that he has such a authority on the pitch. His games never deteriorate into shit shows because he's got authority. And he commands respect. I mean, he's built like a professional wrestler, and he commands the pitch. He knows what he's doing. His read of the game, he's got a natural instinct to read the game really well, and this is why I like him. And I think we should be fair. We should praise the referees when they do well. I think Doveri handled this game really, really well. It could have deteriorated.
Premface of the week, right? This is sent in from Adriano Rizzo. This is brilliant, right? Did you see this video?
Yes, I have.
Tim Sherwood was on a football show, and they were talking about the famous story from the mid-90s where Zinedine Zidane turned up at Blackburn to potentially join Blackburn. And in the end, the transfer didn't get done because the Blackburn owner, they came up with this famous quote saying, "Who needs Zinedine Zidane? We've already got Tim Sherwood." So that already goes down as one of the biggest Premface quotes of all time. Okay, but Tim Sherwood himself has now probably topped that because he was asked about it, and he said that Zinedine Zidane wouldn't have survived in the Premier League. It's like your typical Premface kind of,
This feels so much of a Premface that it feels like a parody of a Premface. Do you know what I mean?
Well, Tim Sherwood he's top 3, I think, for Premface. I mean, the guy, honestly.
Yeah. And also Baggio of the week, we have to give to Zielinski for that finish. Çalhanoğlu Zielinski for that, like the incredible, like the corner and the finish. But yeah, no, this is crazy. Premfacery by Tim Sherwood. It's hilarious.
Also, I should say that I grew up in the 90s, right? And I loved watching the Premier League in the 90s. It was amazing to watch. It was entertaining. It was fantastic.
Very entertaining.
But let me just tell you this. The level of football in the Premier League in the 90s, up until probably around kind of like 98, 99 is when the tide really started to turn to it becoming kind of like a top quality league. But up until then, honestly, the level was horrendous. Like some of the standard, the defending, the mistakes that would be made. It was just headless chickens. It was so bad. It was so bad. So the idea that Zinedine Zidane wouldn't have survived in that level of football is pretty funny.
It is. It's very funny. It's a bit of a piss take. Zinedine Zidane wouldn't have survived in the Premier League. Get out of here. Nonsense.
Yeah. He also said that Roy Keane was a better player than Zinedine Zidane, which was quite amusing as well.
What?
Right. Serie A.
It's like Zinedine Zidane is like some sort of he's got like this kind of mental tick and hang up on Zidane.
Zidane was a big guy. He was like 6 foot, at least 6 foot.
He was physically really strong. What
Yeah.
is this guy talking about? He makes him sound like he's like this little, midget Argentinian light foot tripping along.
I think he could have handled himself. I mean, this is a guy that's been was sent off in his career for studying someone, for headbutting someone.
Several players. Like, what are you talking about? He was a big guy. He was physical, Zidane. No idea what he's on about.
Yeah. Right. And to finish off the episode and to continue with the theme of sex for the episode, can you please take this away? Enrico Lotito, who is the son of Lazio owner Claudio Lotito, and also is he the president of the Lazio women's team?
He's the director of Lazio women's team.
Okay. What did he do, Nima? Tell everybody.
His Instagram account, or an account being attributed to him, but it's got his face on it, and it's not. And apparently, this is common knowledge in Rome, but I'm going to say allegedly. For many times, he likes to stalk women on Instagram, and he likes to publicly comment under weird things in their comment section on Instagram. Maybe not quite aware that it's a public forum, because this account wrote to a female, asked her, "How much do you want for a shag?" And that's a direct quote. I mean,
who was this girl? Just like a model.
I don't know her. I'm not aware who she is. Marti Martino or some @Marti_Marti98. No idea who that is. But she looks like one of these typical, like, women who marry footballers in Italy, if I put it that way.
Okay.
Carlo's on the keyboard like a greyhound.
I'm checking right now.
Like a greyhound.
I'm checking right now. Oh yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
But he also Annalisa, who's a famous pop star, he was in her comment section asking for tickets. Like this account is it's like now this is like Lazio social media have had enough of the Lotito era, and they're taking it to town. Like it's they want to get rid of Lotito.
His Instagram handle is Assobomba. it's just quite amusing.
Assobomba, yeah.
It's just quite amusing as well. Quanto vuoi per scopare is what he said.
Quanto vuoi per scopare, yeah. Quanto vuoi per scopare. And it's like, yeah, it's it's the most Serie A thing I can think of. It's just
Lazio, the Falcon, and now
the Falconer, which is just, yeah, I feel bad for Lazio fans. They deserve better, and Lazio deserves better. I think it's best for Lotito if he relinquishes control of that club, to be honest. Best for everyone involved.
You think. Right, let's leave it at that. Yeah, that was
let's leave it at that.
Interesting show. Yeah, we'll be back.
X-rated theme.
Yes. We'll be back with the Q&A and on
Tuesday.
Would it come out on Tuesday? Yeah.
For patrons only.
Are we pushing out on Tuesday? We might push it out later in the week.
No, we're doing the preview then, because we're doing. So we're pushing out on Tuesday.
Yeah, so okay, fair enough. Because we're going to have I'm going to do a post-match on Juventus versus Sporting
on Tuesday night, and I'm doing it on Inter. Yeah, so we're doing the two Italian sides on Tuesday. We're doing the two Italian sides on Wednesday. We're going to do a post-match reaction on both of those this week. We're not doing a Thursday show, so we're dividing. So we're covering it that way. The Q&As for patrons only. There will be preview on there. Will be out on Tuesday. The post-match will be out on YouTube and free for all to see as well. And then hopefully, next week, although not next week, it'll be an international break soon. So we'll be back in regular programming, but there will be plenty of content to go out in this week.
Also, best wishes to Destiny Adarji, who I've just been told. Actually, maybe I shouldn't release this. I won't say what I'm going to say. Big story's just broken in the UK. So yeah.
Has it broken with his name on it?
No, it hasn't. No.
Okay.
We can't get sued. I just don't want to out him and put him in more trouble. Yeah. Anyway. Okay. Right. Let's leave it at that. We'll leave you on a cliffhanger there. Everyone's going to be like, "What's he done? What's he done? Who is it? What's it about?" But yeah. We'll leave it at that. We'll see you next time. Ciao, ciao.